You know, they say that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Wayne Gretzky said that. Or maybe, was it Michael Scott? I don't remember. Anyway, this is Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets. If there's one thing you can say about Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, it's that it's a gorgeous movie to look at. The opening scene alone showing off the creation of the Alpha Space Station with different countries across the globe sending up astronauts and components to build what effectively amounts to be a futuristic version of the International Space Station. It's truly awe-inspiring. And then once the hundreds and hundreds of alien species show up to contribute their own culture and technology to create this teeming mass of life that is simply floating through the cosmos, it kind of gives you this very far-flung hope that maybe one day when humans leave the Earth, that might be out there waiting for us. It's really nice to look at. It's probably one of the best openings to a movie that I've seen in a very long time, and it really resonated with me in just sort of this big idea sort of concept here that Luc Besson has done before with films like The Fifth Element, and this feels like a very much in the same vein of that film. You know, lots of high concept, lots of bright colors, very charismatic characters, and it's all very good, very well presented at least. Too bad the storytelling kind of falls apart towards the end. Let's not get ourselves though. What I didn't know actually going into this movie when I saw it last night is that there's actually 50 years of storylines in a comic that originally started back in 1967 in what effectively was a old school pulp magazine for science fiction comics and stories from France actually. And what I'm glad we didn't get was just a giant exposition dump at any point during the movie, you know, explaining this is who Valerian and this is who Laureline is. You know, it just drops us right in the action, and I'm actually really glad that it did that. And we get to see these two characters, Special Agents Valerian and Laureline, as they are tasked with investigating a mystery amongst the denizens of the space station Alpha. There's something in the middle of it, and it is causing apparent danger to the space station, but it's all revealed slowly over the course of the film that that's not actually all it's not all it's meant to be, and we have something of a conspiracy theory here, and it's a race against time to uncover what the truth is, save the galaxy, save the space station, and invariably get the girl, as you will. So, no spoilers here. The story is it's very simple. It is just, you know, a good old-fashioned space romp. But the execution is a little bit lacking here. So, and that kind of falls on the shoulders of our two protagonists here. Dane DeHaan as Special Agent Valerian and Cara Delevingne as Special Agent Laureline. I'm not quite sure if these two are ready for something like a role this big. Like, this is a huge role because of the potential for this to become franchised, and I just don't know if these two actors have the chops for it yet. As soon as I saw the trailers for this originally, I'm like, oh crap, it's the Green Goblin from the Amazing Spider-Man movies. But then I saw A Cure for Wellness, and I really liked that, and Dane DeHaan was really great in that, and it made me kind of rethink my position on him. So he passes pretty well as this charming roguelike character that the movie wants him to be, but when he's actually supposed to be portraying the badass space agent, and, you know, 007 in space, it just doesn't come off all that well. He's charming, he's charismatic, but I just don't know if he comes off across as what they want him to be. That's fine though. Cara Delevingne, on the other hand, I still haven't figured out if this woman's actually human or not. The first thing I ever saw her in was Suicide Squad, where she plays the Enchantress and just kind of does that thing the entire movie. And that's all fine and dandy here. And when she's allowed to emote and express herself, her facial expressions are very spot on. Like, the way her eyes light up in certain scenes, it's all very, very magnetic, and you really kind of get it. You kind of catch her vibe. You kind of get drunk off of it, actually. But the two of them together, it just doesn't go together very well. I don't know. And a lot of it, I think you could blame on the fact that a majority of this movie is done in front of a green screen, with CGI. And as I'm sure you know, plenty of movies have fallen because of the fact that the actors just have a hard time actually acting when they're trying to be interacting with a non-existent thing, whether it's a spaceship or an alien or whatever it is. Maybe I don't know. have no idea what that could be like trying to act on a green screen. But it can't be easy. But I know that some movies have really pulled it off well. So maybe they're just not there yet. Maybe a couple of years and one good breakout role, both of these actors, both Dane and Kara, will finally knock it out of the park and get that one great role that really cements them as action stars, or whatever they're going to be. But for the time being, that just falls a little flat, if you ask me. But the rest of the movie, it is insanely gorgeous. Like, I cannot stop, iterating that point. Every shot, there is so much to take in, and it's a real shame that the movie is just so hell-bent on getting from set piece to set piece to set piece. The opening moments where they're in a vast wasteland, which is actually containing a trans-dimensional marketplace. It's impossible to take in every aspect of the scene. I imagine you could watch this 4 or 5 times, just that scene alone, and drink in different elements every time you watch it. And it's a real visual treat. It's kind of like Futurama, actually, in that there's just so much to see, so many crazy, wacky things going on. The movie doesn't take itself too seriously. A lot of the alien designs are very goofy, very silly, and I think that plays really well because it's not trying to take itself like some kind of super hardcore, gritty space adventure, and that's probably a good thing here too. But yeah, all of the visuals, there's enough, visual, icons here and different things you could look at to probably fill up a dozen or so franchises, but Luke is just so hell-bent on jamming it all into just 5-minute scenes here and there, and I wish there was more time to flush these out. And if we do eventually get sequels to this, because as I said, there's 50 years of storyline to build from here. This can go in multiple directions, I think, so maybe if we do get more films, we can explore more of those elements. But until that point, we're just stuck with what we've got. Like I said, the storytelling is really choppy. It's a movie that really wants to show off all the components it has, and Luc Besson is just like making every shot possible. Like, he is shooting for the moon, but still landing amongst the stars. It's just a little off. He just can't quite hit the target every time. But when he does, like I mentioned, that scene in the marketplace, fantastic. When we see Valerian chasing after a kidnapping, he busts through the walls of probably 15 or so different environments, and having the camera just track him the entire time and seeing him go through a water world, a zero gravity sort of technology, library place, and just all the different things that you get to see him run through in that quick scene is really astounding. And my jaw was on the floor so many times in this movie, but it's just so chopped up. You don't get enough of it. Like, you ride the high for a couple seconds and then you're drugged back down when it has to go back into storytelling mode. And that's just the biggest problem, is that the story is there. You can tell this is a very rich environment to want to tell a story, but it's just, it just gets bogged down so many times. And that does go back again to the lack of chemistry between Dane and Kara. So, where does this movie actually find itself in the greater scheme of things? A lot like The Fifth Element, where 10 plus years after it's been out, it has gained that cult following, and I think that's what Valerian is destined for as well. Once all of the the naysayers and the nitpickers destroy this movie in the here and now, it'll be 5-10 years, and people will say, hey, this is a pretty darn good movie, especially if we do get sequels, or spin-offs to this. So it's got potential, and I definitely recommend seeing it. If not for getting to see Rihanna do her little dance number. Oof. That was, again, those high points when it gets high, it's real high. So, yeah, and definitely go check this movie out in 3D. Yes, it is a post-conversion into adding all the 3D effects, but again, the visuals are just so striking, and it is a real visual treat to go see this movie. So go see it in the IMAX and the 3D if you can. Just don't expect, to be wowed by the story. Just, here we go. So Dan DeHaan and Cara Delevingne are both pretty darn attractive people. Delevingne's a supermodel, for crying out loud. It's just like going to watch a lot of really pretty people run around, shoot some space lasers, and have a good time. There we go. It's so simple. But yeah, I definitely recommend going to check out Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It is, like I said, it's just a visual treat. A little slow in the pacing at times, but when it's a bunch of pretty people, that's all you care about. So check it out, guys.